Hello world, from whichever time zone you're catching me from, my name is MD90. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notification to all so that you do not miss the uploads that come up. And the easiest way for you to navigate the channel is to head to the playlist. You'll find videos curated for you based on your interest. So if you're interested in the Kutika podcast, you'll find a playlist for that. For news and trends, there's a playlist for that. Exclusive with MD90, a bunch of playlists that are created based on your interest. So the easiest way to navigate the channel is head straight to the playlist and you'll find what you're here for. Consider becoming a member of the channel. Right next to the subscribe button is a join button. You click on the join button so that you can become a member of the channel. You support the team on the production and a number of things that we're doing here, and we appreciate that.
Well, the fights within the opposition are beginning to show, but this was something that was predictable. Everyone was anticipating this. So in the mass newspaper, Fred Membe says, unite or perish. Opposition cannot afford to split votes, says Dr. Muelwa there. So that's an opinion coming from one individual. And then Membe slams Hakainde Hichilema self-praise and reckless bravado. So that's part of what is in the headline. But pretty much most of the conversation is centered around the upcoming by-elections in Lumezi. And then just now, ECZ has also announced to say Mfue by-elections are likely to take place and then they're going to be announced soon. But within the opposition, from that article saying, in the entire time of Zambian in a time when Zambia desperately needs a united and focused opposition to hold government accountable, former diehard Maxwell, who's part of Hari Kalama's opposition party, which is Citizen First, it seems to pretty much Hari Kalama's party has simply says they will be filling in candidates. The likelihood of them fielding one candidate will not happen because they've just realized what seems to be obvious. Everyone else was aware of what was, they say, the elephant in the room. As long as they do not pick a candidate, a sole candidate, who everyone else agrees on, they'll be just going in circles. That's the reason why Hari Kalawa left the Oka Alliance, if you remember earlier on, says there was no direction with where they're going. It's something that everyone knows. Pick a leader, those that need to fall out will definitely fall out. So you're just avoiding the inevitable. While it's on the other hand, Laura Miti had a press brief just a couple of hours ago, and then she had a call-in interview where she even issued her own opinion to say she predicts President Hakainde Hichilema is going to win the 2026 elections, but more risk is on the UPND members of parliament. Most of them are not going to return to parliament. And obviously someone called in the show and they simply said not only is the opposition, not only are the MPs going to lose, but the president is going to lose. But those are just opinions that everyone can give. Everyone's got the agenda, ulterior motive. Everyone wants to sound neutral in this issue. But everyone's got a bias. So in as much as you say, no, I'm analyzing an issue, a situation from a neutral point of view, you've got preset biases and maybe you're just not aware of them. So yeah, in as much as Laura Media has said, yes, she predicts President Hakainde Hichilema is going to win the elections, but warns the UPND members of parliament. That can just be regarded as an opinion too. Just like the person that called in that said, no, they predict a loss on both sides. So those are just opinions, which are likely to become even louder as we build up into the 2026 general elections. But one thing that has come clear, and then you can see the response that has come from Josephat there, said the current group of opposition has no ability to represent the affairs of the people. They have their own interests, and confusion will continue until 2090, he says. It's predictable. Like I don't know why the opposition seem to be lying to themselves, and you can see the reaction that has come from the UPND. They just say, but to opposition, and then they hold their mouth with those emojis. They are just laughing at them to say, the opposition is simply avoiding the inevitable. Let them address who's the leader right now. It seems like the Tonse Alliance is more inclined to pick in Fred Membe as their leader. So they might as well just make that clear to say, okay, fine, the PF has endorsed Fred Membe as their leader, and then they start fielding in candidates. They share in the next by-elections as they give to other members of the Tonse Alliance. Otherwise, trying to send it, make it vague, but it's beginning to show like, no, they are more inclined to Fred Membe. They're just lying to themselves. And you can see Sean Tembo is already opposed to that format of going about it, because he's also acting like he's receiving instructions from Edgar Lungu separate from what the Tose Alliance is receiving, because Edgar Lungu dedicated the PF and Tose Alliance to be led by Given Luinda, who's the PF vice president. But Sean Tembo has been doing live streams and saying, no, Tonse will issue a statement, in as much as, yes, he's opposing the UPND. But it's also clear he's also in opposition of Fred Membe becoming the Tonse Alliance picked leader. So that's something that is predictable. You can see where it's going. They might as well just decide, hold a press brief, and pick Fred Membe as their candidate, and then those that need to go out, they'll go out. But otherwise, holding it on for a long period of time is just delaying the inevitable. There you can see Hadi Kalaba ignores opposition alliance, feuds on candidate in Lumezi constituency by-elections. I just hope this time around he's vetted as a candidate, because if you remember when they tried to field the candidate, should have been in the by-elections that were happening in Papua, their candidate, Citizen First candidate, was found to be ineligible. I hope that's not going to be the situation again. And then you can see Keshas Lungu there says, in that way, you ascertain his popularity, wise move. So they say, I mean, the move that Hari Kalaba has made is a wise move for him to test his popularity. If you remember, Hari Kalaba was the third person in the 2021 elections. Yes, you cannot compare the number of votes that Edgar Lungu and Hakainde Hichilema got. There was nothing close to that. But in the overall tally of the 2021 elections, Hari Kalaba came out the third. Yes, it was a minimal number. Some members of parliament got more votes than he got at presidential level. But the fact that when you tally them to say how did it align, it was Hakainde Hichilema number 1, Edgar Lungu number 2, and then Hari Kalaba number 3. It is what it is. So, I mean, if he feels he's capitalized since President Hakainde Hichilema came into power, he's free to test his popularity. But quite honestly, I don't see him performing very well. But he is free to do that. So there he's put up a statement. Opposition divisions deepen at Citizen First goes solo in Lumezi. And this is expected, because in as much as there is another by-election coming in Mfuwe, likely Hadi Kalaba is going to field his own candidate there, which they are free to do. But let's just see how they perform. This is an advantage to the ruling government, obviously, because when the opposition is disfranchised, they are not in alignment. They simply eat into each other's votes. It's very rare that they'll eat into the UPND votes. So they're simply tapping into the same base. Let's wait and see how that plays out. So there, Citizen First leader Hari Kalaba says his party will not work with other opposition political parties, but field its candidate in an upcoming by-elections. The Electoral Commission of Zambia set June 26 as the date for Lumezi parliamentary by-election, occurred after the jailing of Munia Zulu, who held the seat as an independent earlier this month. So that's what's going on. And then what's his name? Bomanu Sambo was in court earlier on, and then it was shocking to see correctional officers or police simply blocking journalists from capturing him. I don't know what that's about. So journalists were complaining there. It was on QTV and QFM. They're saying making work of reporters and photojournalists very difficult. Media professionals are hindered from capturing. Pretty much they're complaining to say, why are they blocking them from filming Boma Lusambo? There. What is the Mausamba says in Pulungu Yelanga there, the PF office has been turned into a Tosa Alliance. They've branded it there. That's what Mausamba posted. And then ECZ gets a green light on Mfuwe seat. So that's another by-election that's coming up. It is what it is. The opposition looks very disfranchised. Let them just pick a candidate. It's inevitable. I just think it's inevitable. You can see KBF doesn't want anything to do with Tonse, because it's clear. They have not stated it, but it's clear they are more inclined to pick in Fred Membe as their candidate. They might as well do it. So those that need to leave, they leave. Otherwise, and then Democratic Republic of Congo strips Kabila's immunity over treason. That's another thing that's happening in our neighboring nation there. Politics at play, even in our neighbor's yard. And then the news diggers Say, what are they hiding? Blocking Diggers documentary has provoked public curiosity. So if you remember, there's a documentary that News Diggers wanted to put out of an investigation that carried out, but it's been blocked by the firm that's involved. So details are yet to be shared if they win that court case. And then Daily Nation, more call for Chilangwa's release after they saw him at the funeral of his wife. So that's the news, ladies and gentlemen.